Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome. This is Little Wave from Your Stars Within. I want to talk to you today about Saturn moving into Pisces as of today, March 7th, 2023. It's interesting to note that Saturn shifts signs officially on the same day as our full moon, which is in Virgo. So Pisces and Virgo are opposites, so they are related to each other. It metaphorically stands to say that this is our work. This is the work that we have to do to be able to fully express our spiritual nature, our soul, our light into the earth. So keep in mind that Saturn's maybe 2.5-ish, more or less, depending on the elliptical, years in each sign. So for about the last 6 years, he's been in Capricorn and Aquarius. So Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn and Aquarius. So that energy vibes very naturally when, Saturn's considered like a difficult planet, right? But when he's in his own signs, like Capricorn, or his old rulership, Aquarius, which is now Uranus, but there's still meat to the old rulership, that he's able to express himself. Moving into Pisces might be a little bit frustrating for Saturn because it's kind of like he's got to move underwater. He might feel slowed down and also softened. He might be a little softened. Edges could get softened because water softens earth, right? So understanding Saturn. Saturn is the furthest away that we can see with the naked eye. And so he's considered a boundary, right? The limit, the furthest. He rules the 6th chakra, which is, the intuitive mind's eye. There's a certain karmic boundary, right, that we must be able to cross through if we want to move to the highest high. He keeps the math, right? There's no tricking Saturn. There's no, oh, but please, I've worked so hard on it. He doesn't care. It's not an emotional thing. It's a math. It's a fact. Does your karmic balance sheet add up? Is it the right time? He's Father Time in Roman and Greek mythology. He comes from Kronos. And so he has a paternal energy, but it's the type of paternal energy, where the young lad is like, oh, Dad makes me get up so early and do all this chopping the wood and carrying the water, like, frustrated with the hardworking, demanding father. And understand that the demanding father, he is the keeper of the lessons. He's our karma. So he's here to make sure we learn what we said we're going to learn here. And he cannot let us out of it. He cannot make it easier. We must actually truly learn it. Doesn't matter how many times. Wrong answer, do it again. I don't care that it's your 100th time. Wrong answer, get the right answer then if you want to pass. So he's, has this very high level of you have to earn it. You earn every step with Saturn, right? It's up the mountain. It is earning every step. But like that, paternal father making this young lad do this hard work, he knows one day I won't be here, right? And son, you need to know how to do this for you to survive, for the tribe, right? He knows that it is for the good of all. So there's not this emotional component, but there is this paternal component. And in the same way, for us to grow, to move, to truly be enlightened, to be given the bliss and joy of higher energies, there are certain lessons that we must understand. We must pass certain gates. We must learn certain things. It's a requirement. Otherwise, we would have too much power and not enough wisdom. So Saturn is an important gatekeeper. In the collective, or as a whole, he often represents things like the structures, You know, the tradition, the things that have been long standing. I think of pillars and courthouses, authority, things like that. And, you know, sometimes those things are very negative, especially when misused. But also sometimes they're very important. It's very important. Tradition, right, is how we've survived. It's how we pass the wisdom, the library from our grandmother's grandmother to us today, the things that we need to know. And so, you know, there's this balance of truly appreciating Saturn. And when we go through a Saturn transit, a Saturn return, or, you know, maybe Saturn is going to conjunct or oppose or square one of your planets, sun, moon. The best thing to do is to know it may not be the funnest time. It just might not be an enjoyable time. There might not be this funness to have, right? But if I fight that, if I try to like ignore it or go out anyway, or like not do my work, I'm going to suffer and I'm going to feel this negative consequences. But if I put my nose to the grindstone and I just do the work in front of me, I just understand that this time period's not the most fun. It will ebb and flow and I will do the work. This is a hardworking time period. I will not suffer. Again, it may not be the most fun time period and it will be a lot of hard work because that's what Saturn is. But you will grow and you will mature in ways that are unfathomable to you. And it will help you break through that boundary to the next major level of consciousness. Okay, let's talk about some dates and some degrees. So for those of you who know how to look at your chart and houses and things like that, he's just moving into 0 degree Pisces today. And so you can look at what house that is. And you want to look for in 2023, he's going to move between 0 Pisces and 7. So if you have any signs, any planets or points being ascendant, descendant, MCIC, the dark lines, the bones. If you have any planets or points in the 0 to 7 degrees of the mutable signs. So Pisces and its opposite Virgo are mutable. Gemini and Sagittarius are mutable. So if you have a planet at the 0 to 7 degrees Pisces, Saturn's going to conjunct it this year. If you have a planet at the 0 to 7 degrees Virgo, Saturn's going to opposite it. Make this Saturn here, okay? If you have a planet at 0 to 7 degrees Sagittarius, it's going to square it, a 90-degree angle. And 0 to 7 degrees Gemini is going to square it from the other direction, 90-degree angle, okay? So he'll be on and off your degree throughout the year. He's going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then he's going to retrograde on 7. So he kind of hangs there for a long time, right? Because he's forward and backwards on that degree. And then 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then he's going to come back again through those numbers. And then he'll move on and be done with you. So in 2023, he goes as far as 7. And he goes back and forth. In 2024, he goes as far as 19. So if you're maybe have planets or points at like the 8 through 19, it'll be next year that you really feel it. And then in 2025, he'll go as far as the 29th degree, the final degree of Pisces. So if you have things between 20 and 29, you'll feel it in 2025. It finishes up at the beginning of 2026, the retrograde, and then moves forward into Aries. So what can we expect? Well, if it's hitting a planet or point for you, that area of life, the house it's going to be in, along with the planet or the point, what that rules, it's going to be bringing hard work, limitation, and maturation to those areas. Now, if you've been doing your work, if you've been holding yourself to a high standard, you might not feel it quite as hard. There's a karmic pay that needs to happen. He's checking in on if you have learned the karma from this, planet. And if you haven't, you got to learn it now. There's no questions asked. You will. So if you've done really well and been very responsible and mature, because that's what he looks for, you may have learned the lesson or may not be far from that final, what he's looking for, right? And if you kind of haven't been dealing with it, you're going to have some lessons and some learning and some payment to happen. Now, that doesn't mean that if difficult things happen that you necessarily did something wrong. You have to understand that it is his job. Like, this is also the divine timing. This is the time you come into maturation. A young kid who maybe Saturn's crossing his ascendant or his IC might start coming into puberty, right? It's just the divine timing of that transformation. So thinking about, and he tends to delay things. So that's another thing to consider is like, if it's, it delays, but it doesn't deny. And it also creates like material, like it manifests. So without Saturn, nothing would manifest into the 3D. These are the laws of 3D reality. He's the math. Okay, this is the karma, the cause and effect, the math, how the physical reality works. So the planet that he's going to connect on your chart is going to feel like you're going to feel restricted. You're going to feel maybe grumpy or difficulty having fun there, might feel delayed. But it's ultimately forcing a maturation that you wouldn't otherwise choose. And that doesn't mean that you didn't do your work or that you did something wrong. It could just be the right timing. Sometimes with Venus, a relationship cements. Even though he delays and even though he restricts and even though he usually, makes us mature, sometimes a relationship comes into its maturation with a Saturn transit. Many couples have Venus and Saturn connections or important Saturn connections. Many parents and children have Sun and Moon connections with Saturn. So this is, the points of maturity where we hold the person accountable, right? Or we are held accountable. So just understanding that area, that planet, that point is going to come under the eye of Saturn and needs to be hardworking and mature. And when things come in and they're hard, your best response is, okay, what do I have to learn here? And to just double down your efforts, work harder. That's really the best answer with Saturn. And when you mature, when you're on the other side of the Saturn transit, you've opened something up that wasn't available to you before. So it will be worth it. Hard work is worth it. Things we earn with sweat equity, we really appreciate. So the hard work is worth it. From a more collective level, to just talk about Saturn going into Pisces, in a more general way. One of the more positive expressions of Saturn and Pisces could be dreams really do come true. It might be time to really actualize your dreams, materialize your dreams. Because Pisces can float along and ends up where it belongs and it's connected with spirit and all this. But sometimes it doesn't manifest. It doesn't actualize. It just lives. And so this might provide the structure from which the person may be able to manifest hopes, dreams, things like that. Because Pisces is a dreamer. Very much along these lines is thinking about spirituality, right? Pisces is the one that stays in that connectivity to spirit in a more direct way, right? As an energy. Because it's the last sign. It took what no one else wanted, so that was its gift. And so understanding that there could be a couple of things. One could be coming into spiritual maturity, which might mean being held accountable to the things that you need to do. It could be things like knowing there's patterns, habits, behaviors that you've needed to do for a while. It's finally the time you have to. It could be coming into like your spirituality isn't just an idea or a belief or a thought, but really living it, living that truth, showing that kindness when you're, hurt, but not turning to anger, right? It's the development of the soul, the development of the person being able to embody or manifest in a real way that spiritual energy. And this is where that Virgo full moon is very interesting, because the Virgo full moon really points to what are the habits and patterns that are needed. What's been coming up over the 2 weeks here, we'll say March 7th to March 20th, 2023, right? Is what's boiling to the surface that's showing you that needs change. Organization, purity, good habits. Virgo is all these details so that the body and the energy is like cleansed and right so that spirit can shine through. And so I have a different video for you on the new moon, but, kind of leading to this really big and important new beginning where we really start to act on these. So I think this is very important, especially because Saturn's signature is with this full moon. So the things that are coming up that are like, these are the habits and patterns that you need to do, and it's the time. And it's a truly new beginning. If you start doing them, the opportunity for new opportunities that were never there before is immense. But Saturn's right there. When you let off just a little bit, when you don't drive forward where you need to be, he is right there and you're going to feel the consequence of it. And so understanding that it's really about coming into fuller embodiment. And, coming into fuller embodiment of spirit, the Piscean energy, coming more fully into that embodiment is this reality that we're in a physical body. And we can't just, eat crap and have whatever habits and routines and live in filth and expect that, the spirit can shine through. It's like having a filthy window. Yes, the light's on, but you can't see it. So, there's a lot of really important habits and patterns like rising before dawn, eating light, not eating too late, drinking warm water is a big one. Just helps to cleanse the body on a regular basis. And by keeping that energy pure and physical life pure, the light can shine through better. And so Saturn's role here might be teaching you the things that you need to do for your physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, energetic well-being. Okay? So that's really, really important to think about and to act on. For the musicians out there, I strongly encourage you to make real your musical ideas. Pisces also rules music, and Saturn can be manifesting. So do the hard work, do the discipline. It is worth it. It's time. For everybody, I think it's important to just understand that when Saturn makes a shift, because it only happens every couple of years, we can really feel this change in energy. And we have Saturn shifting into Pisces. We've got Pluto shifting into Aquarius. There's a lot of big energies shifting, that these are planets that affect more than just the individual and the personality. And so we're really shifting into some new generational sort of time periods. And there's really a new beginning here in front of us. So I want you to put away the past, put away your preconceived notions, who you have been, or, oh, I always start that, whatever exercise program, or I always practice guitar and then I give up and I forget about it in a couple weeks. Put that all away. That's the past. Don't pull that forward in your ideas that that's who you are, because we're in a truly new energy, and it's time to step forward into all these things that you've known that you are, that you can be, and the patterns and habits and ways of being that truly honor you. And so I just want to really encourage you to leave all the old in the past, and to approach this spring, approach this equinox, approach this time period, knowing that anything can happen and that this is time to really do things differently. I hope this has been helpful. By all means, leave comments, ask questions. If you felt a little bit lost about how to read your chart, please check out my book called Sacred Astrology, The Psychology of Your Stars Within. It's on Amazon. And feel free to reach out for a reading, or if you're looking for a little bit more personalized information. I wish you all well with the upcoming transits. Bye.